Inside the MBA, your bi-weekly window into what's happening at the MBA.
Welcome to MBA Now. I'm Rob Van Raphorst. With us today is our President and CEO, David Stevens, here to talk about the confirmation of Dr. Ben Carson as the new HUD Secretary. Dave, thanks so much for being here.
Good to be here, Rob, as always.
So we have a new HUD Secretary. What are the issues that our industry is going to be leading the charge on when meeting with him and his staff?
Well, look, there's a wide stream of work that MBA has been engaged with that deal with a multitude of issues with FHA, both on the single family and the multifamily side. And so it's important to know that we're working on all aspects of it. But if I was to chunk our top three priorities, the first is enforcement. Right. Getting clarity in what reps and warrants could pose the greatest risk to a lender. That means finishing the taxonomy,
right.
And then working on the remedies associated with how they rank errors in the taxonomy approach. And so that's step number one that we think can give better clarity to the industry. Mm-hmm. So that's enforcement. The second one is, what are we going to do about mortgage insurance premiums? I know this has been a debate. The previous secretary had lowered premiums, and that was obviously reversed under executive order. I think that's got to be an area for us. And most important to that is how particularly the HECM program, the reverse program, whipsaws the reserves of that fund back and forth,
right.
which can make policymakers more concerned about reducing premiums, because if you have another multi-billion-dollar negative effect
right.
Based on the HECM program and an upcoming actuarial, suddenly you're back in Congress having to defend why the fund went below the threshold. So dealing with this issue about the structure of the MMI fund, what contributes to the overall capital reserve ratio, we think that's got to be a top priority in terms of focusing to make sure we can then understand what do we do about mortgage insurance premiums and what do we recommend that won't risk the fund to congressional overreaction.
Right.
Yeah. And then the third. I'm going to just quickly cover the third.
Sure.
It's we have a great deal of servicing issues. It's a whole work stream. And if you have interest in knowing more about that as an MBA member, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk about it. It's mostly focused in the loss mitigation area. Sure. We think there's a lot of improvements that can make it easier for consumers in distress, and can also protect FHA in a much greater way. So those are the three big areas that we're working on.
Well, aside from those big areas, we're also going to be working with new people in addition to Dr. Carson. So what are some of the other key roles that we'll be working on?
Yeah, so obviously the confirmation of Secretary Steve Mnuchin at the Treasury Department is one of our top priorities. Right. They manage the preferred stock purchase agreements, the ownership of the GSEs as the single biggest shareholder, how they advocate and try to promote a congressional response to helping to get these two companies out of conservatorship is going to be something that we need to focus on, and what that future state looks like. So that's a key role in the people around him. National Economic Council, a critical body within the White House that helps advise the president on housing policy. We are working on establishing strong relationships there. What's going to happen at both the CFPB, which is more in the news today, but also the FHFA as Director Watt's term expires. These are obviously critical roles to all of us. Right. And we won't even begin to talk about the SEC, the FASB rules, Department of Labor issues, and the West. So we are covering all of them, but I would say the ones I've mentioned as priority are the ones that we're focused on.
Yeah, I mean, this is all a result of President Trump winning the election and just so much change coming to Washington. So thanks so much for coming by and really explaining to our members that we are still working diligently on a lot of these issues, and there will be a lot of new faces, but we will be front and center with all of them. Thanks, I really appreciate it, Dave.
You bet, Rob.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at MBA Mortgage, or check out Mortgage Bankers Association on Facebook and Instagram.
This is Mortgage News Network.